Hello, my dear students. Our lesson today is very interesting. It's about literary elements such as the main characters, setting, plot, and point of view. And this lesson will help us finding the details of any story. Let's watch the video, then answer some questions. Before starting watching the video, please prepare your pencil, your book, your readers and writers notebook, and a copybook to write down any note. While watching the video, please try to answer these questions. Who are the characters? Where does the story take place? What was the problem? How did they solve it? And what did you learn from the story? And I'm waiting for your answer to post them on Classera. What are the story elements? We have here to know four things about the story elements. The first one is the main characters. Number two, plot. Number three, setting. And the last thing we're going to know about it is the theme. Let's start. The first element of the story is the characters. A character is a person or animal who takes part in the events of the story. Characters can be real or make believe. Real here, like I Want Iguana. Do you remember this story? It was realistic fiction, means the events and the characters were real. And we have here, we studied before tops and bottoms. Do you remember this story? Yes, it was an animal fantasy, means make believe. It was a story about two animals, the rabbit and the bear, and it was an imaginary story, make believe. So, characters can be real or make believe. When we start reading any fiction, any story, we discover things about characters by what they say and do, and how the author describes them. The characters' words and actions can help us guess what the characters might do next in the story. The second element here is the settings. The setting is the time and place, means when and where in which the story happens. Knowing when and where the story takes place can give us some ideas about the actions and behavior of characters. Like characters, the setting can be also real or make believe. So the setting can be a jungle or can be on Mars. So it can be real or make believe like the characters. The third element is the plot. The story's plot is the important events in the story that happened at the beginning, the middle, and at the end of the story. Also, the plot starts with a problem and ends with a solution. Do you remember our story? We had it in the first term, Prudy's problem. What was her problem? Her problem was she likes to collecting everything anyone could possibly collect. It was taking all over her house. It was taking all over her life. Prudy is forced by her family and friends to come up with solution. What was this solution? It was to build an enormous and a very big museum for all of her collections. So any story has a plot. It starts with a problem and ends with a solution. The fourth element or the fourth part today is the theme. The theme is the big idea or the main idea of the story. What did you learn about the people in the story? So, when you answer what is the main idea, the big idea, you're answering the theme, the fourth element of the story. Now it's time to open our Readers and Writers Notebook on page 419. The title is The Literary Elements, Plot and Theme. We have here the plot. As we said, the plot is the important event in the story with the beginning, middle, and end. And the theme is the big idea of the story. It can be started in a single sentence. We have here to read the following story, then fill in the chart below. The ants felt sorry for the grasshopper. He'd saved no food and was starving. So they shared what they had. The grasshopper swore he'd remember their kindness and repay them someday. When summer came, the ants were playing outside and accidentally hurt themselves. How would they gather their food? Just then the grasshopper stopped by. When he heard what happened, he told the ants to climb on his back. The ants told the grasshopper where to go and what to gather. Soon, the trio had all the food they needed for the winter ahead. Now we're going to answer the questions. Reread the story on page 419 and try to answer who are the characters, what is the setting of the story, when and where, what is the big idea. And after that, please send it to me on Classera. I'm waiting. Now let's answer the questions. We have here question number 1, 2, 3. Number 1, what happened at the beginning of the story, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end of the story. Here we are going to answer the plot. What was or what is the plot here means the events of the story, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So let's start to answer. What happened at the beginning of the story? You will find it at the first 3 lines. The ants felt sorry for the grasshopper. He'd saved no food and was starving, so they shared what they had. But we want to write the answers by using our words, by using our own words. We'll not copy the same in the answer. So what happened at the beginning of the story? The ants shared their food with the grasshopper. Number 2, what happened in the middle of the story, the body of the story? Try to think. Yes, the ants hurt themselves and couldn't gather food. The last part of the plot here, what happened at the end of the story? The grasshopper helped the ants gather food. Also, you're going to use your own words. What did you understand? Don't copy the answers from the story. The last question here, what is the big idea of the story? The big idea, as we learned, is the theme. So, what is the theme of the story? What did you understand? What is the lesson? So, we have so many themes here. We have so many ideas, but I can help you to answer. So help others, because one day you might need someone to help you. I hope our lesson today was easy, and I'm waiting for your answers. Goodbye.